Yeah, if you really want a good show.
On a 5-show weekend, I don't know which show is going to be the one.
You really want to come see me Sunday. That's when I put it all together. That's when it all, like George Papard at the end of the A-Team. I'm on stage going, I love it when a plan comes together. 4 shows in, I got it now.
What's the best show? Well, unfortunately, you're in Denver because the best show is in Chicago. The second show, Friday night in Chicago, is always the one.
But I only do it once a year, so that really sucks for everyone that's not in Chicago. The interviewer said a lot of which I love when people in media will say weird, like, comedic things as, like, fact. Well, a lot of comics don't like playing theaters because it's a different energy. And I was like, name one. Tell me the comic that told you that.
Russell Peters, because if he's doing theaters, he's fallen off. That means Russell had to give up the arenas.
Right. Yeah, he's doing like the O2 Arena in England. At first, I didn't understand what you're saying.
Yeah. Oh, it's only theaters now.
Oh, man, what happened to me?
Yeah.
I used to do Madison Square Garden. Now I'm doing the Mahafe Theater. I don't know how to say that shit.
Perfect lead-in for Dane. So let me.
Oh, real quick. My point was to the interviewer was, I love playing theaters because the people I watched coming up, my idols, I watched them do their specials from theaters. So that rhythm, when I see Eddie Murphy Raw, he wasn't in a fucking 250-seat, DC improv room. Like, believe me, I'm all about the clubs. And I love the energy. And I love grinding it out. I love being that Charles Oakley on the boards in a club where everyone's right on top of you. But when you do a theater, you're doing this. You're Bill Cosby himself.
Yeah.
You're George Carlin. You're all diseased.
I don't do many of them. I'm going to do a lot more of them after this podcast.
Yeah, this is really the jumping off point for Alonzo Bodden.
But the great thing about a theater is they came to see you.
Yes.
And they're going to sit down and listen to you. And there's not going to be a drunk guy at the fourth table. And they're not, you know what I mean? There's not going to be the guy ordering
There's no last call.
A little too loud.
That's something I don't think anyone listening realizes, that if you're headlining, right when shit is cooking, a waitress goes, "This is last call. Do you guys want it?" Like, I mean, that's not sometime. That's an all the time, every single show, a half hour in to your 1 hour. It's last call. Do you guys want any last? So everyone immediately is like, "Oh, last call. All right, what do you guys want? What do you?" And what happens after last call? The fucking check gets put down at 45. You're wrapping that shit up. And she's like, "There you go. Whenever you're ready, hon." And then they're not looking at you. They're looking down at their check and they're going, "What the fuck did we order?"
You ever see when the comics from the UK flip out when they drop checks because they don't do that in the UK?
No.
They don't do it. They don't drop checks during the show.
Jim Jeffries said
they do it afterwards, or they work in like a theater where people go out, you get your drinks at the bar, and you come back in. So they flip out when
I want to play. You ever played England?
I've done the Comedy Store, and I've done a few. I haven't done. Let's see. Oh, I did a comedy festival in Brighton.
To me, it's like I'm fascinated with playing England. I want to go so bad.
Ireland
too.
Awesome.
Same thing.
If you get Kilkenny, get your whoever it is to get you to the Kilkenny Comedy
I don't want to get
Festival.
involved with the troubles though, Alonzo.
No, man. It was awesome, and you have to go with Dom Herrera because Dom
crushes it over there.
He's the Don. Restaurants stayed open late. I was over there. It was me, Kathleen Madigan, Dom Herrera, and Louis Black. We were like the American contingent.
Dom out-Irish Kathleen Madigan.
Restaurants would stay open late after the late show because Dom wanted to eat there. Like it was a kind of thing like if I had shot somebody, I'd be like, well, I'm here with Dom Herrera.
Oh, why didn't you say so, lad? He's with Dom Herrera.
That was awesome.
And how did you like England, too?
It was great. I had a great time.
Did you ever play Australia?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, I did the Comedy Store in Australia.
They say Australia is like just this like bucket of money. If you're willing to just go and hoof it for a month, you can just make lots of money. You gotta hustle though. It's I did the Comedy Store and then I did a couple of shows. They have 2 comedy festivals. They have one in Sydney, which is kind of set up like Just for Laughs in Montreal, different shows, themed shows and stuff like that. Then they have one in Melbourne, but the one in Melbourne, it's like for this month, anybody can do a comedy show anywhere. So you have the big theater shows with big stars and stuff, but then you have like in the back of a bar,
some guy's promoting his own show. So I've never done the one in Melbourne because that's the one you got to build your own following and a whole bit. But Australia's cool. But go to Kilkenny, you'll love it.
I want to,
Kilkenny's fun.
So Dane Cook, we were talking about earlier, because this happened a while ago, and we wanted to talk about it, but I don't know. It's good I didn't talk about it earlier because it was too fresh in my mind, and I had too much of a knee-jerk, well, fuck that guy reaction, and I probably would have done more harm than good. Dane did a spot at the Laugh Factory, and again, this happened by the time this podcast is up a month ago. Dane called the Laugh Factory, said he was coming, right?
Yeah.
I know he tweeted it. He went on stage, and Bobby Lee got bumped, TJ Miller got bumped. Basically, people get bumped.
Yeah.
And he did about an hour. And you know what's funny? I just realized this. The receptionist at my acupuncture place, he goes, yeah, I saw Dane Cook at the Laugh Factory. It was like an hour. It's really weird. So it was obviously an odd night.
Yeah.
But then this other comic, should we say his name?
No, I don't think we have to say his name, but he
wrote a blog.
Yeah, he dissected the whole thing.
And he wrote a whole blog saying, what a piece of shit Dane is, and then took excerpts from... This is a comic writing a critique of another comic who's a headliner. And basically, you get bumped all the time on your way up. You're sitting waiting to go on, and fucking, Cedric the Entertainer comes in.
Right.
You ain't going on. That's how it goes.
Yeah, if you're in L.A. or New York, at any given time, a star walks in, and you're like, have a seat, And the thing that got me about it was, and I'm friends with Dane, and I go back to the old days at Dublin's when we used to work out, and this is when Dane was becoming the superstar Dane. Literally, 1 week it's like, where you going? Tampa Improv. Next week, where you going? Madison Square Garden. And we're like, what? How did that happen? So the thing that got me about the blog when they said he wasn't funny and he's a misogynist and shit I'm like, 4 years ago, the exact same joke you guys would have thought was fucking brilliant. You know what I mean? Like if he said he was fucking this chick like this, or when he joked about, having the money and like. He said
the joke that the guy took was, and he said something like he's going to chainsaw fuck this girl and make her vagina look like an Arby's sandwich.
Right. And 4 years ago, they'd have been quoting that. You know what I mean? It was like I worked with him. I did a set with him a couple of weeks after that because I was out of town when that happened. Yeah,
he was hurt.
Yeah. I did a set with him, and it was a great set. It was like it's not the same thing. It's not rock star Dane. But he's trying to recreate from that,
Does Dane know? I can't imagine. I can imagine because what we all aspire to, selling out a garden or something like that. You go, wow, this is great. I can't imagine watching the movie Step Brothers, where my name is the punchline. Like, come on, honey, let's get out of here. Dane Cook, pay-per-view, bam, bam, 20 minutes. To be an actual punchline in a movie, an iconic movie like Step Brothers, where you become the actual cultural punchline. Like, you've replaced Carrot Top as, the go-to, make fun of a guy joke. But what people don't understand is Dane's fucking funny. Yeah. Dane is a comic. He's working, and he's light. There's light and there's dark in this world, okay? And Dane, whether you like him, hate him, I don't give a shit if he made Good Luck Chuck or whatever the fuck that shit is. When you turn that shit down, then come talk to me about Dane Cook.
Right.
All right, here's $6 million. You want to do a movie and, rub up against Jessica Simpson and share a trailer?
No.
You know what? I'm a purist. I don't want any money, and I don't want to be in any movies. I just want to do my craft. Okay, asshole. So Dane's light. Dane, when you meet Dane's just a guy. He's a nice guy that became a super, super, superstar.
It was crazy. It was like crazy fame that he and I remember talking to him about it, and it was like even his attitude about it changed because at one point he was like, "Man, a lot of people are turning on me and this," because that was another thing. Like as soon as he became famous, people hated him for it.
Yeah.
For some unknown reason. And then I talked to him a year later, and he was like, part of the business, man. You become the big star. You become the target. Like he accepted it, but I'm sure it hurts. Let me interrupt you. It's got to bother you on some level.
Just the fact that he can say that out loud gives the listeners a look inside his mind as to the kind of guy he is. Like no one has that self-awareness to go, hey, man, it's part of the business. I'm on top, and everyone's just cutting my legs out.
Yeah.
Like, you know what you don't know? He buried both his parents a year apart at the height of his fame. So you know what? Fuck you. And like, you don't know what these people are going through. Like, if he's doing, employee of the month and he's up there making money because he sold out the TD, whatever it's called, the fucking Boston Garden. Well, don't you think he'd rather be at the Tampa Improv with an alive family? Like, they both tapped out on him.
And not only that, he was the same guy.
Yeah.
Because even, like I say, I mean, I wouldn't say I'm a close friend with him, but we work together a lot. We're friends or whatever. And at the peak of his fame, when he was, doing arena tours and shit, if I texted him, he texted me right back. To the point where I wasn't sure I would have texted me back. I would have had an assistant call myself. But he was, that. So I don't get the hating. I don't get the hating. Same guy. That's my impression of Dane Cook. Same guy from before when he was on MySpace and none of us knew what the fuck it was.
Right.
To Madison Square Garden to rebuilding now as whoever he's going to be.
I remember.
Always been the same guy.
Is he aware of that he's fallen?
I don't know if he looks at it as fallen, but he's changing. He said he's got to reinvent himself because you can't keep that same persona and keep it up like that because it's another generation of fans.
Right. Then you're Dice.
Yeah.
And by the way, when Dice sold out the Garden 5 nights in a row, we all sat around going, this will never happen again.
Yeah.
Well, guess what? It happened again, and it increased tenfold with Dane.
Yeah.
Dane did it in every garden.
Yeah, Dane did it all across the country.
The Olive Garden I played again. That's Anthony Cumia from Opie and Anthony. That was his joke. I sold out the Garden. The Olive Garden. Eat the fucking breadsticks, you fat honey. Gay. Dane did a set at the Laugh Factory. He bumped the comics. That's what happens. I was at the Improv 4 years ago. Chris Rock and Jerry Seinfeld came on, and I was supposed to go on. I got bumped.
Yeah.
I went on after them. That's just how it worked. I got on at 1 a.m.
Yeah.
So this guy writes an entire blog saying that Dane Cook is a misogynistic piece of garbage, and he's to watch him up there flailing around. I'm paraphrasing, but it's basically like to watch him flailing around for an hour just talking about vaginas and having hate sex. And it's like, I had never heard of this guy before. Mm-hmm. And to me, like we said earlier, like Dane is light. He is light. Love him or hate him.
Yeah.
He's out there searching. He's a searcher. At the very least, he's a searcher and he's a grinder.
Yeah.
You are a blogger. And the only reason I know who the guy's name is because you broke off a piece of Dane's light and you wrote about it. And I saw Dane's name on your blog and read it.
Right.
I saw your black hole of a life with a little bit of light coming out. And I went, what's that light? And you stole. That's stealing.
Yeah.
You fucking stole a piece of that light to your dark shit that you want to do. And at the end of the day, you fucking asshole. Because Gary Goldman and I, we started talking about it, and people emailed, you said middle acts are killing comedy, and you never expounded on it. When you and I were coming up, and we were openers in middle acts, and we hated this guy, hated that guy, what the fuck is she doing? The travel sucks. There was no social media. So what would happen is you and I would get together, and we would complain to each other.
To each other.
And
exactly.
Then we would close the door, lock the bodega, and we were done. But now you're complaining on Twitter, and it gets retweeted, and it gets linked, and then the Huffington Post picks it up, and something else. You should not have access to social media. My wife put it best. For Twitter to be fair, you have to have a SAG card, and everyone starts at the exact same time. You can't be an angry fuck. First of all, the comic we're talking about, it's not like a Hannibal Buress or like some great comic. Like, well, you kind of got to take what he said. You're wearing a fucking Rockstar energy drink baseball hat on stage. That's your stage outfit. And
well, the thing is, and we all did that. No, we all did that, and it's exactly what you said. When we were middles, you're like, man, how's this guy headlining? This shit ain't funny, blah blah. But you did it with somebody you knew, and then you went up and you did your shit. And to me, the revenge always was be funnier than that guy. Like
Right.
that was my whole thing. Like I always wanted I wanted the headliner's job.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And if I was at the Laugh Factory, I remember one night I was doing chocolate sundaes at the Laugh Factory, and Chris Rock and Chris Tucker both came in.
And it was hosted by Chris Spencer.
Yeah, yeah. We had Chris's everywhere.
Yeah.
So naturally, bump, and they were both joking about the money. Like